What you're watching is the slow fire part of an accuracy test I did to see what the difference in accuracy is of a direct impingement system compared to a gas piston system. Because the slow fire is a little monotonous to watch, if you watch 10 shots this way, I'm only going to show you 2 of them just so you get a sense of the timing I was using for the slow fire. And the reason for shooting this slow is, number one, maximize accuracy and minimize any kind of barrel response due to heat buildup. Next, I should talk about, I guess, the major components here. Starting with the barrel, it's a BCM 14.5-inch lightweight enhanced barrel. I'm using the lightweight barrel by purpose. The reason being that if there's going to be a difference in direct impingement and gas piston, I think it's going to show up quicker and more so in a lightweight barrel than a more standard weight barrel. What you're now looking at is the beginning of the 10-shot, more rapid fire part of the test. And then this is really isn't rapid fire, it's just faster, much faster than slow fire. I've actually loaded 10 rounds into the magazine, and I'll empty the mag, not in a mag dump, but I'm still trying for accuracy. But I wanted to see if firing a number of shots, 10 specifically, at a faster rate of fire would cause issues that might not show up in slow fire. I did this same test at both 50 yards and 100 yards. I think the results are going to be surprising. I'm not going to show you the entire 50-yard and 100-yard test, but I will show you the results of them, and I think you may be, as I was, a little bit surprised. Let's look at some results. We'll begin with the 10-shot group that you just watched me fire, and this is the results of that. As we look at this group, we can see a couple of things. First of all, let me point out it was shot with a gas piston system. First of all, it tells us that this is a good group. This is 10 shots in a 0.75 MOA group. You can kind of understand those things when we're shooting 3-shot groups and we hit a 0.75, but this is 10 shots in a 0.75 MOA group. So what that tells me is a gas piston system is not inaccurate. And the other thing it tells me is that when I look at this and realize that this was shot with a lightweight barrel, the barrel did not show any evidence of drifting with heat. Of course, I didn't shoot it real fast, but it has been my experience in the past you don't have to shoot it real fast, just a high number of shots, and 10 is usually enough to do it, to see barrel drift, and we did not see that in this case. All right, let's move on to the slow fire at 100 yards. And the way this took place is I fired the group on the right, which is the GP, or gas piston, and then I changed out the gas piston to a direct impingement system right on the range and fired the group on the left. If you can read my scrawling on the paper, you can see both of these are kind of a 9/10 MOA group. And the reason I say kinda is because if you look at the left target, you'll see there's one shot high, and that spreads the 10-shot group out to 1.25 MOA. That little cluster kind of in the orange is a 9/10. If we look at the right dot, it too is a 9/10 MOA, but none of the shots have to be eliminated. So as far as I'm concerned, and the evidence here, there is no difference in accuracy. Okay, if we move down the page to the middle of the page, we get these 2 dots. If we first look at the direct impingement, guys, I got to tell you, I can't explain that. Maybe just don't shoot during earthquakes or something. Of course, I don't remember an earthquake, but nonetheless, this was a disaster, and this was just a 10-shot group shot faster than slow fire. If you look at the dot on the right, that was with the gas piston, and I had pretty well zeroed at this point. The previous ones, I'd intentionally elevated the scope to keep the shots off the target. This is a 1 MOA. Notice the consistency with this group. and the one we looked at just prior, it was a 0.9 MOA group. So again, I think this confirms the gas piston is not causing accuracy problems. Moving on down the page, we come to these two dots, and in all fairness to the DI, I think that isolated shot's probably a user-inspired shot. So the four shots themselves represent a 0.6 MOA, which is an excellent group at 100 yards. And if we look at the dot on the right, which was the gas piston, it's actually a 0.82 if you count all the dots. And if you don't count that one isolated dot on it, or sorry, hit on it, that winds up being a 0.7. So there's a tenth of an inch difference between the two groups. And I don't think we can conclude much from that. I mean, that just happened to be the way they shot that time. It's certainly not enough to say, therefore, DI is more accurate or less accurate or whatever. It's just inconclusive at this point. Okay, here's the 50-yard group. I shot the 100-yard groups using a 16 power scope, and I shot this set at 50 yards using a 9 power. Pretty much these are in pairs. For example, the two upper left most targets, the DI is on the left, the gas piston's on the right. So as you look through these, the DI is on the left, the gas piston's on the right. And as I look at these, I just really can't see there is a major difference in either one of them. The group sizes, the nature of the groups, and some of these are some just playing around and doing some things as I had the two systems available. I just don't see anything that says definitely one is better or more accurate than the other. And that's been a pleasant surprise for me. I was not expecting the gas piston to perform this well. In fact, I was expecting to see a visible, I guess we could say, difference in the gas piston and direct impingement. And it's just not there. And let's recall, I'm using a lightweight barrel. It's a 14.5-inch BCM lightweight enhanced barrel. So this is not some kind of bull barrel that stabilizes everything. I've tried to pick a worst case and go with that. I just don't see from all this shooting and some other shooting that you haven't seen that the DI, or I'm sorry, the gas piston is any less accurate or any less consistent than a DI. So let me say this about this. Let's not generalize this and say that, see, we now know that DI is no more accurate than GP and vice versa. It really doesn't prove that. All it proves is that with the components I was using, as I changed out from a gas piston to a direct impingement, I saw no conclusive evidence that one was more accurate than the other in this specific system on these specific days, which probably consisted of about a week overall. So just a word of caution. Don't think that this proves anything for all DI and all GP systems. In some cases, one might shoot more accurately, in another case, the other. Maybe there is an inherent advantage in one over the other, but I haven't proved that or disproved it.